Hello friends, in these videos I will talk about the expansion of Islam around the world. I will make 2 videos to better explain this topic. Early centuries of Muslim expansion. During its first decades, Islam rapidly spread northeast to Mesopotamia and Persia, and west to Syria, Palestine, and Egypt, the richest provinces of the Byzantine Empire. Islam impacted the Christian and Greco-Roman world shortly after Muhammad's death. During the reign of the Umayyads, the expansion continued. The conquests were made by land to the Maghreb at the end of the 7th century, and reached Spanish coasts beginning in the 8th century. In 711, they overcome the Strait of Gibraltar and managed to reach Spain. The Moors are arrested in the Battle of Cappadonga in 722 inches Cappadonga, Asturias, and in the Battle of Poitiers, in 732 inches Poitiers, France. From there they returned to their territories in the Iberian Peninsula, although the Asturian kings, after the victory in Cappadonga, began the reconquest, giving rise to the Kingdom of Asturias. They then expanded to Central Asia, Bukhara, Kabul, and will reach the border of India. They will limit with the Byzantine Empire, the Caspian Sea and the Caucasus to the north. The Mediterranean Sea is controlled by the Byzantine Empire after the threat of the Arab conquests, who will build a fleet and attack Constantinople without success 3 times. The Byzantines were masters of the sea and blocked Muslim expansion, still maintaining trade with them. The sea became a border, but above all, it became a sea of commerce. The map would not change further until the 11th century. When the Arabs conquered a territory, they settled in separate camps and lived on the fruit of the reconquests and the taxes imposed on non-Muslims, in exchange for their freedom and protection. This personal tax was called jizya and was different from the one paid by Muslims, called ezek, which is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. The 8th century was characterized by the fierce resistance of the Byzantine Empire, but also in the interior of the Muslim world. Agitation is both political and religious. The unification and Arabization of the empire is observed then, by language, currency, administration. As a consequence of its Islamization, schools are instituted to learn the Quran, trials are carried out to respond to Muslim law. But there are numerous political religious secessions. Indeed, the Abbasids founded Baghdad. There is then a shift of the political center to the east, which as a consequence will be transferred by currents arriving from the Far East, but it will also mean an imbalance since the center is far from the west of the empire. This will drag the secessions that will lead to the formation of 3 large areas where the Caliphates will emerge. These are the Abbasi, Fatimid and Andalusi zones. One can still speak of religious unity among Muhammad's successors. In the 9th and 10th centuries, the Arab Muslim Empire did not expand further, under increasing external pressure. From the 7th to the 15th century, Uqba ibn Nafi's troops sent to Ifriqiya, the name given to this ancient Roman province, but meet Kusila resistance. In 683, at the moment of a terrible battle, Uqba dies alone with the vast majority of his men. Kusila then marched on Karawan, reigning there for about 5 years, but reinforcements from Syria removed the king. The conquest of the Maghreb continues and immediately a new attack wins the Arais region. Queen Dija, Karina, gathers several Berber tribes and provisionally rejects the Muslim soldiers until present-day Libya. Carthage is taken in 698, the resistance is dominated from 702 and North Africa is officially conquered in 711. The same year, the first Berber contingents passed Andalusia, led by Tariq ibn Ziyad. To the phase of military organization of the conquest, the administration of a territory still partially inspistent and converted will be replaced. The Afro-Arab Persian populations in East Africa that had been with the Arabs for centuries have been Islamized since the 8th century. Swahili culture is born the fruit of this miscegenation and the Islamization of the region. Europe. From the 7th century, the empire extended from the Arabian Peninsula to the Iberian Peninsula. The expansion of Islam is done according to the principle of holy war or jihad, a concept also expressed by Augustine of Hippo, according to which it would be fair to fight for the true faith. Christianity for Augustine of Hippo, Islam for Muhammad. Although an equivalence can be established, they do not take the term or the idea of Augustine of Hippo, but from the Quran, where the term appears in the formula effort in the way of God, in the sense of effort to reign the rights of God, that is, to defend Islamism. Although in the first centuries of the Christian era, there were no conquest wars carried out explicitly in the name of the Christian faith, there were in the name of the Islamic faith. This then Christian land had been worn away by the resulting internal struggles against heresy, Arianism in the Iberian Peninsula and Donatists in the Maghreb, and, due to this, it had been long persecuted by the imperial power. Which explains the easy reception for the conquerors made by most of them, at least in North Africa. Hispania will become the country of Al-Andalus for 800 years. Instead, the cults of Christianity first viewed the emergence of Islam as very negative. This new religion hindered the claim to universalism. Catholic means universal, and references to the messages of the Bible appeared in them, as well as to the Jews, rather as schismatic heresy, for occurrence using this concept than recognition. The reference to the Christian message used in the Quran had reached Muhammad via Monophysite, Dorset or Nestorian Christians, that is, from the cults considered heretical by the councils of Nicaea and Constantinople. At best, Islam appeared for them as a form of light competition, sharing its recognition of a unique God, but refuting instead the idea of Trinidad. Until the arrival of the Seljuk Turks, however, coexistence in Jerusalem would be without major difficulty, despite the repeated invasions of Moorish troops appealing to Islam against Europe. The situation totally changes with the Turkish occupation, which plans to prohibit Christians from entering the holy places. A tension is then created. For the Christian West, the Mohammedan becomes the unfaithful par excellence, and Muhammad, where the before-made deformation comes from, is the image of a perfidious demon, who preaches in the name of God to lead the faithful away from the true faith. Sometimes he is assimilated as the Antichrist, sometimes more simply it reminds us of the words that the Gospels attribute to Jesus and that he warns against false prophets that will come after him. The same accusations are established from the Muslim side. Very well, so far, today's video will shortly do the two-part that will deal from the Crusades forward. Bye and take care.